The King Abdulaziz International Airport received the first batch of Hajj pilgrims who will be performing this year's Hajj rituals under exceptional circumstances. Only residents and citizens inside the kingdom will be performing Hajj this year. The Saudi Ministry of Hajj and Umrah announced that the pilgrims were received amid precautionary measures and in cooperation with the Civil Aviation Authority. This comes after relevant authorities have completed all preparations for the service of Hajj pilgrims this year, and this covers all health precautionary measures as part of a comprehensive plan that involves security, health, and services. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani urged people to observe health protocols and practice social distancing during the upcoming Eid al-Adha holiday due to start at the end of the month. The Deputy Health Minister urged people not to visit the northeastern city of Mashhad, which he said has seen an increase of 300% in coronavirus cases over a one-month period. The country gradually lifted its COVID-19 restrictions from mid-April, but they have been reimposed in most areas after a sharp spike in cases. Somalia's parliament removed Prime Minister Hassan Ali Khair from his post in a vote of no confidence for failing to pave the way towards fully democratic elections. At whopping 170 of Parliament's 178 MPs backed the no-confidence motion, and the ouster was immediately endorsed by President Mohamed Abdali Farmajo, who appointed Khair as Prime Minister in February 2017. President Farmajo then appointed Deputy Prime Minister Mahdi Mohamed Gould by decree to act as caretaker Prime Minister pending the appointment of a new one. Former Prime Minister Saad Hariri's Mustaqbal movement has postponed its Congress upon the recommendation of doctors amid the coronavirus pandemic. The board informed him of the recommendation of the movement's doctors to postpone the Congress, which was scheduled to be held in Beirut on Sunday, to a later date due to the rapid increase in the number of coronavirus cases in Lebanon. In order to preserve the health of those invited to the Congress, their families, and the community in general, the board announced the postponement of the Congress to a date that will be determined later. The U.S. government's chief counterintelligence official has said that adversaries such as China, Russia, and Iran are seeking to compromise American private communications and infrastructure in electoral campaigns. The chief of the National Counterintelligence and Security Center said voters should be on high alert for foreign interference in the November 3rd U.S. election. He said that with just over 100 days to the election, it was imperative his agency shared with voters some of the information about possible interference that U.S. spies have given to campaigns and legislators. The African Union called on Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia to work expeditiously to finalize the text of a binding agreement on the filling and operation of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam with the support of the African Union experts and observers. The meeting of the Bureau of the Assembly of African Union Heads of State and Government agreed on the process of finalizing negotiations on the text of a binding agreement on the filling and operation of the dam, which should include a comprehensive agreement on future developments on the Blue Nile River. In the statement, the Union welcomed the report of African Union experts on the resumed trilateral negotiations on the dam, which reflected notable progress in the talks and presented options for resolving outstanding legal and technical issues. India began its first human trials of a coronavirus vaccine candidate as the world's second most populous country, recorded nearly 49,000 new cases. The additional infections reported Saturday raised India's total to more than 1.3 million, with surges seen in a quarter of the country's 36 states and union territories. The candidate vaccine, Covaxin, is among nearly 2 dozen that are in human trials around the world. Abu Dhabi's health authority, SEHA, initiated Phase 3 clinical trials for an inactivated coronavirus vaccine. The trials are being conducted by Sinopharm's China National Biotech Group in alliance with the Abu Dhabi government and artificial intelligence company G42 Healthcare. The candidate vaccine is believed to be the world's first inactivated vaccine to enter a phase 3 trial. The public prosecutor said Sudanese authorities have found a mass grave believed to contain the bodies of 28 army officers shot in a failed coup attempt against former President Omar Bashir in 1990. It was the second Bashir-era mass grave uncovered in as many months. Bashir's repressive rule collapsed last year when the military ousted him after months of street protests. There was no immediate comment from Bashir's defense lawyers. Jordanian security forces arrested leading members of the opposition-run teachers' union, raided its offices and shut it down for 2 years, escalating a confrontation with a group that has become a leading source of dissent. Prosecutors charged Nasser Nawasira, the acting head of the Jordanian Teachers Syndicate, with incitement over a speech to supporters last Wednesday that criticized Prime Minister Omar Razdaz's government. State media said other charges related to allegations of financial and administration wrongdoing. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has admitted the government could have handled the coronavirus outbreak differently after initially saying it took the right decisions at the right time. The Conservative Party leader has promised an inquiry into the approach to dealing with COVID-19, but suggested now was not the time. The New European reported that Labour said the Prime Minister had finally admitted the government had mishandled its response to the coronavirus. In complete violation of social distancing rules and hundreds of people not wearing face masks, Filipinos in their thousands were crammed into a baseball stadium in Manila as they wanted to return to their home provinces flooded the government transportation program. Officials had reserved the stadium as a place to test people before transporting them back to their home provinces under a program to help people who had lost their jobs in the capital return to their families elsewhere. Officials had planned for 7,500 people to arrive at the stadium from Friday, but were caught out when another 2,000 people who were not yet scheduled to travel headed there anyway. A senior UN official told the Security Council that the climate emergency generated by global warming is exacerbating existing risks to international peace and security, while also creating new ones, making the case for swift climate action on multiple fronts. The UN Assistant Secretary General for Europe, Central Asia and the Americas said the climate emergency is a danger to peace, as he called on peace and security actors to play their role and help speed up implementation of the landmark Paris Agreement on climate change. A humanitarian group says that 97 medical workers in Yemen have died of the coronavirus, the first reliable estimate to give a glimpse into the pandemic's impact on the devastated health sector in the war-torn country. The report by Med Global relies on accounts from Yemeni doctors tracking the deaths of colleagues to gauge to the toll of the virus. The 97 dead include infectious disease experts, medical directors, midwives, and pharmacists. As COVID-19 infections continue to increase around the world and the implications of the pandemic's spread are acknowledged in the key markets in the Americas and Asia, Rystad Energy is now changing its base case scenario for oil demand, incorporating a mild second wave effect. The updated base case scenario assumes a temporary pause in global demand recovery as the reopening of Europe and other regions is offset by COVID-19 outbursts is populous and high oil consuming countries in the Americas and Asia, such as the United States, Brazil, and India, among others. There is a downside risk to the base cause. They have identified a category of oil demand at risk, that is the maximum number of barrels that could be lost if a full lockdown is reinstated globally.